So it's another beautiful day on the battle for Azeroth Beta, and today we're taking a look at what has happened with the Enhancement Shaman. So the Enhancement Shaman, they've been polished a bit, but the core rotation is pretty much the same, but with a few added bonuses and more fluidity to it. So I'll be going over the latest changes that are live on the beta, but remember, this is still beta, so some things can still be reworked, but probably not a lot. And if you like these kind of videos, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let's get on with the video. So moving over to our spellbook, a few things have been reworked or added here. Starting off, we're taking a look at Capacitor Totem. It is now baseline, so you no longer need to talent into it to be able to have an AoE stun. It works the same way as in Legion. It's on a 1 minute cooldown, stuns everything within 8 yards for 3 seconds, and it takes 2 seconds to activate. And we have a shiny new totem, or kinda new. So Tremor Totem is back for every Shaman spec there is right now. So you summon an Earth Totem with 5 health at the feet of the caster that shakes the ground around it for 10 seconds, removing fear, charm and sleep effects from your party or raid members within 30 yards. Which is a nice bonus, seeing how most dungeons have either a fear or a sleep effect or some kind of charm, so having that added bonus from Tremor Totem is just gonna be really damn handy. And Stormbringer has been reworked. It still resets the remaining cooldown on your Storm Strike, but it causes your next Storm Strike to be free and trigger no cooldown, so you can just spam so much more Storm Strikes now. And I mean, this is just a really good change they've made. It just makes the flow of the spec so much better. Moving on, Earth Elemental is back and with a shiny new animation, so it actually looks like it's part of the game and not from Minecraft. No offense to Minecraft. And it works pretty much like it's always done. A 5 minute cooldown and it's up for 1 minute. Taunts everything around you and protects you and your allies while it's up. So it's a pocket tank for all your shaman needs. And Stormlash is gone. So they removed Stormlash. You no longer passively buff everyone in your party or raid with a little bit of damage. Other than that, no major things have happened to our spells or abilities. It's only tiny reworks or tuning, like Lava Lash is on a 40 Maelstrom cost instead of 30, stuff like that. So the big changes to the Enhancement Shaman so far has been their talents. Some have been reworked, moved around, or just taken away, never to be seen again. So starting off with the 15 row, we got Boulderfist, Hot Hand, and the brand new old Lightning Shield. So Boulderfist, previously a last row talent in Legion that has now been moved to the first row. So it reduces the cooldown on Rockbiter by 15% and increases its damage done by 20%. So you'll be able to get out a few more Rockbiters during your rotation with some added damage bonus. Then we got Hot Hand. Same as in Legion, when you have Flame Tongue up, there's a chance to get a free Lava Lash that deals 100% increased damage. Overall, a pretty solid talent. A bit more of the RNG proc system, but right now Lava Lash does an absolute ton of damage, so getting a few more out is nothing to scoff at. And Return of the Shield, the Lightning Shield. A 1 hour buff, surround yourself with a shield of lightning. Melee attackers take a bit of nature damage and adds a charge to your shield. Storm Strike always adds 2 charges, and when you hit 15 charges, the shield overcharges. Whole lot of charges. So yeah, when you hit 15 charges, the shield overcharges, causing you to deal extra nature damage with every attack and generate 100 Maelstrom over 10 seconds. So it's a nice passive-ish talent, giving you a surge of Maelstrom gen every now and then, and it plays well with the proc nature of our spec. If you get a lucky streak with Storm Strike procs, this one charges really fast, which just feeds the spam even more. And the 30s row, so we have Landslide, Forceful Winds, and Totem Mastery. Landslide, Rockbiter has a 20% chance to increase the damage of your next Storm Strike by 100%. Again, if you want to add more RNG to it. For me, this talent is pretty dang boring. Sure, you'll get more Storm Strike damage out, but it just seems a bit lackluster to me. And Forceful Winds. Wind Fury causes each successive Wind Fury within 15 seconds to increase the damage of Wind Fury by 100% and increase the Maelstrom generation by 1. And this stacks up to 5 times, so every Wind Fury proc empowers your next Wind Fury proc. So I've been playing with this one for the most part, mainly because it increases your damage by an absolute ton, as well as increasing your overall Maelstrom generation. So nothing game changing, but it smooths out your rotation a bit, and I like seeing Wind Fury proc procs go bananas. And Totem Mastery, cause what's a shaman without totems? Summon 4 totems that lasts for 2 minutes, buffing you if you're within 40 yards. No cooldown, so if you have to run, you can just repop him at your new location. And as I mentioned, there are 4 different totems. So we have Resonance Totem, generates 1 Maelstrom every 1 second. Storm Totem increases the damage of Storm Strike by 5%. Ember Totem increases Lava Lash damage by 10%. And Tailwind Totem increases your chance to trigger Wind Fury by 2%. So you pop him, it looks pretty sweet, and you get some passive benefits. The buffs are nice, just flat out damage increase and a bit of Maelstrom generation. I just can't get over the fact that something like this should just be baseline. We should have totems baseline. Sure, we have Tremor Totem and Cap Totem, but I'm talking about the so-called good old days with buff totems. Sure, it might not be anything game-changing, but it just feels more shamanistic from a class fantasy point of view to have those 4 buddies up around you. Moving on to the 45 room. Spirit Wolf, Earth Shield, and Static Charge. So, Spirit Wolf, when in Ghost Wolf, you gain 5% increased movement speed and 5% damage reduction every 1 sec, and it stacks up to 4 times. I mean, sure, it's nice on high mobility fights and stuff like that, but as a reliable damage reduction for boss mechanics, it just feels weird. I'ma just run around in Ghost Wolf for 4 seconds before the boss does his AoE or whatever to make sure I don't die. I mean, that's not compelling gameplay at all, but yeah, as an added flavor and a bit of defense, sure, why not? And Earth Shield for enhancement. Sure. Place an Earth Shield on either yourself or a friendly target, increasing your healing on that target by 10%, and when they take damage they also get healed by X amount. Total of 9 charges. When depleted, it needs to be renewed. And I'm not sure what to think of this, to be honest. I mean, sure, it's nice to have healing increase as well as getting a tiny heal when you take damage, but overall I don't really get why enhancement has this at all. It's just weird. And then Static Charge reduces the cooldown of your capacitor totem by 5 seconds for each enemy it stuns. Maximum reduction is 20 seconds. So in a dungeon environment, or to some extent raiding, this will be pretty damn nice. Being able to get more AoE stuns out is pretty damn handy. And the 60s row. Searing Assault, Hailstorm, and Overcharge. So Searing Assault, when you use Flame Tongue, you apply a dot to your target, dealing X amount of fire damage over 6 seconds. So this is when you use Flame Tongue, not every time Flame Tongue deals damage from your melee swings. All in all, nothing huge here, does some damage, that about it. And Hailstorm, like in Legion, Frostbrand now deals damage. So instead of just slowing your enemy, it now deals X amount of frost damage every time you attack. So if you want more globals, more things to track, and like buffing yourself, this is the talent for you. I really hope this won't be the go-to talent, because it's so frustrating to play with. Personal opinion, by the way. But from a rotation point of view, it just feels bad. For example, you get a Storm Strike proc, your Rock Biter is almost off cooldown, and you're almost Maelstrom capped. So you want to use 2 Storm Strike and a Rock Biter to not overcap or delay stuff. Instead, you have to refresh Frostbrand and most probably Flame Tongue as well, seeing how they are both up for 16 seconds. So instead of smashing away, you rebuff yourself over like 3 seconds, overcap on the Maelstrom, waste uptime on Rock Biter and Storm Strike, and feel overall sad inside. And this particular scenario happens all the freaking time. Moving on! Overcharge. Lightning Bolt is now a spender. So Lightning Bolt consumes up to 40 Maelstrom for up to 1200% increased damage, and Lightning Bolt now has a 12-second cooldown. So your playstyle becomes a bit different, pulling up Maelstroms you can always afford to Storm Strike, as well as being able to use the empowered Lightning Bolt whenever it's ready. And I'm not sure which of these 3 talents will come out on top. I personally would like him to rework the entire row, but I mean, Overcharge ain't too bad to play with, I just don't find it fun. And then we take a look at the 75 row. We have Nature's Guardian, Feral Lunge, and Windrush Totem. So Nature's Guardian, a pseudo sheet def. When you're brought down below 35% HP, you instantly heal for 20% of your max health, with a 45-second internal cooldown. So I mean, it's a nice little wannabe sheet def that'll probably save your ass more than once, allowing you to stand in shit every 4 45 seconds. Feral Lunge. So a charge or a lunge if you will, 30-sec cooldown, lunge at your target and bite them, dealing a tiny amount of damage. And I mean, for maximizing uptime during fights, this one is pretty nice if you have to run over to another mob or the boss runs away, stuff like that. And Windrush Totem, the one your raid leader always assumes you already have talented. So you summon a totem that increases everyone within 10 yards movement speed by 60% for 5 seconds. The totem is up for a total of 15 seconds and it's on a 2-minute cooldown now. And this is just a great utility talent overall. There's pretty much never a bad time for this talent. There's so many boss fights where this is useful and so many dungeons where you can utilize this to get between packs or deal with annoying mechanics. So unless you need to have Nature's Guardian to not die all the time, go Windrush, always Windrush. Unless you want to piss off your raid leader when he goes like, X-Shaman, use Windrush, you're like, no, I have Nature's Guardian. And the 90s, so we have Crashing Storm, Fury of Air, and Sundering. So Crashing Storm, your Crash Lightning now leaves a pool, if you will, dealing X amount of damage to the targets within it over 6 seconds. So it just makes your Crash Lightning a bit better on AoE. Fury of Air creates a vortex around you, dealing X amount of damage to all enemies within 8 yards of you, as well as slowing them by 30% for 3 seconds. Cost free Maelstrom to activate and then free Maelstrom every second it is up, until cancelled or you run out of Maelstrom. So I mean, all in all, a pretty nice talent. If you're good at Maelstrom management, this is just a flat DPS increase in both single target and AoE situations. And then we have Sundering. Shattery line in front of you, dealing X amount of damage and incapacitating enemies hit for 2 seconds. It's on a 40-second cooldown and it costs 20 Maelstrom. So it's a pretty nice talent, to be honest. It deals a lot of damage in both single target and AoE, as well as being able to interrupt certain casts due to the in-cap effect of it. And I can't tell you which one of these will be the go-to talent at launch, but right now Sundering seems to do the most damage, as well as having the incapacitate effect, which is pretty dang nice. And then we have the last row. And here we have Elemental Spirits, Earth Spike, and Ascendance. So the brand new talent here is Elemental Spirit. It reduces the cooldown of Feral Spirits by 30 seconds and causes your Feral Spirit to be empowered by Fire, Frost, or Lightning. So if it's a Fire Doggo, all your fire damage is increased by 20% and Lava Lash leaves a dot on your target, dealing 20% of Lava Lash's damage over 15 seconds. And the Frosty Doggos, they pretty much give you the Hailstorm talent, so every melee attack deals X frost damage and slows them for 30 seconds. And last we have the Lightning Doggos. They increase your Storm Strike and Wind Fury damage by 100%. And these Doggos stack, so it's 100% RNG which Doggos you get, and it can be any combination of it, so you can have 2x Lightning Doggos or 2x Fire or Frost, etc. And at the moment the tuning on this talent seems to be undone. The Frost Doggos doesn't work, the Lightning Doggos just increase your damage by so much that it is insane. For a tiny numerical example, it bonked my main hand Storm Strike damage from 500 to 2k when I had 2 of them up, which is still a pretty damn big boost. So we'll just have to wait and see how the tuning gets, but other than that, it is pretty damn fun to play with. I mean, more RNG. And then we have Earthen Spike. Summon an Earthen Spike, dealing X amount of damage and increases your physical and nature damage dealt to the target by 20% for 10 seconds. And on a 20-second cooldown, there's a pretty high uptime on it, but you still want to cram out as much as possible during those 10 seconds, which means pray for Storm Strike to proc. And lastly, we have Ascendance. Transforms you into an Air Ascendant for 15 seconds, reducing the cooldown and cost of Storm Strike by 66%, and your auto attacks as well as Storm Strike becomes wind attacks, bypassing armor and have a 30-yard range. It's on a 3-minute cooldown, so it's just a big cooldown, increases your damage by a lot and effectively making you a ranged DPS for the duration. Currently, it's not that great, at least not compared to the broken Doggos. And I don't know, I'm not a huge fan of 3-minute cooldowns, some people are, but I personally like 1-2 minute cooldowns, so you just have a flow on your rotation instead of, oh, every now and then I'll do most damage. I mean, if they added something like every storm strike reduces the cooldown of ascendance by X amount of time, then it'd be more fun to play with. But as it is right now, it's just not fun. On a side note, I just want to mention 2 honor talents that are so much fun to play with. And those are Ride the Lightning and Forked Lightning. So Ride the Lightning, every time you use Storm Strike you cast Chain Lightning. And Forked Lightning, every time you use Storm Strike you cast Bolts of Lightning to the 2 furthest enemies within 40 yards. And they are just so much fun to play with. Granted, they only work in PvP or out in the world with War Mode enabled, but when you level, I encourage you, put on War Mode and try these out. But all in all, the BFA Enhancement Shaman feels pretty much the same as it does in Legion. As I said, some things have been polished, some things have been removed, but the core is still there. So if you like a proc-based rotation, this is definitely the class for you. All in all, I think this is a pretty solid spec. The changes they made make a lot of sense. I mean, it was already good in Legion, and it's just in a better place going into BFA. And as I previously stated, this is beta, so some things might change, but they probably won't change that much. And that is all for this first look of the Enhancement Shaman. As always, if you like these kind of videos and want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, leave me a like, and if you have any questions at all, hit me up in the comments below and I will answer them as well as I can. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.